I'm Sarah. Welcome to the Daily English Show. Today's guest is Dan. He's from a place called Surrey in the UK, and he's been working here in Niseko this winter as an instructor. He mainly teaches snowboarding and he also teaches skiing as well. I asked him why he decided to be an instructor.
I used to work in an office job in London and just got fed up of being stuck indoors and dealing with lots of stress and generally feeling like I wasn't getting the most from my life. So I wanted to come here, do something I loved and try and make this work for me. So here I am.
Kia ora, in Stick News today, a group in the United States is running a campaign to stop the use of the word retard. Retard is a derogatory word for a mentally handicapped person. It's commonly used as an insult, similar to the words stupid or idiot. But an organisation called the Special Olympics is running a campaign to encourage people to stop using the word. They call it the R word, and they say the word is just as cruel and offensive as any other slur. And that was Stick News for Monday, the 23rd of March. Kia ora. What do you enjoy about teaching snowboarding? What were you doing in London? How did you get into that? So you believe in anthropogenic climate change? What do you think about the UK's response to climate change? What do you think about the plan to expand Heathrow Airport? How do you feel about snow sports, being a climate change consultant? Where are your parents from? When you were a child, what language did they speak to you in? Have you learnt any languages? How did you study French? Do you feel any special connections with Malaysia because your parents are from there? In Japan, do many people think you're Japanese? What are you planning to do after winter?
Actually, my favourite sort of lessons are probably first-time lessons because you see the progression that people go through a lot quicker, and there's a point that when you see someone suddenly start linking their turns and they really start to love the sport and start to really love sliding around, and that for me is the greatest thing, is being able to share something that I really love and watch other people learn it and be able to get the same joy out of it. I was a climate change consultant, so I worked for the UK government for a while on climate change and particularly emissions trading. So I was a consultant and mainly my clients were the European Commission, UK government, but also some private sector companies. I did an engineering degree and focused it on climate change, and then I ended up working for the government. I worked for the Ministry of Defence and then the Department of Environment, and just built up my expertise and contacts through that, and then got offered a job in a consultancy, so I went and worked for them. Yes, in a word, yes. Our climate is changing faster than it's ever changed before. There is enough scientific evidence out there now to show that it is happening, that is anthropogenic, so that is caused by human activity. And the modelling has progressed a lot in the last few years. And a few years ago, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, the IPCC, which is the UN, it's the international body that's been tasked to look at climate change, agreed that it is definitely happening. And basically what they do is they peer review all of the work, all of the research that's been done on climate change, whether it's saying that it's happening or whether it's saying it's not happening. And as a result of that, they've decided that it is, and that's an agreement amongst a couple of hundred different countries around the world and all their scientists. So it's pretty definitive evidence. I think the UK is certainly the UK and the EU as a whole is certainly trying to lead the way and doing an awful lot of the right things in terms of policies and the attention that's being paid to climate change. But there's always a long way to go, and there's always things they could do better. I think that's something that needs to be looked at quite carefully. I think with all of these issues, it's particularly there's a lot of things, factors that need to be thought out. Because obviously there's the environmental impacts related to that, but there's also the economic benefits of airport expansion and the jobs that it creates for the area. So there's a lot of things to weigh up, and it's hard to say without looking into all of the details as to what I'd go for on that. It's an interesting place to be because obviously, this season the snow has not perhaps been as good as it might be for Niseko normally, and it's hard to directly attribute that to climate change, but certainly that sort of effect is going to increase over time. So it's an industry that is hit first by climate change, and it's also an industry that contributes a huge amount to climate change because I've flown all the way over here from the UK. All of these people are flying from Hong Kong, from Australia, from New Zealand. And they have an impact on the environment, plus the energy usage for running lifts and the fact that forests have to be cleared to run a lift up. So it's an interesting industry to be in. I think there's great benefits in terms of getting people to appreciate the environment and sort of tune into their environment a bit more, but it obviously has a lot of negative impacts, and I think it would be interesting for me anyway to get involved more on that side and to see what other ways and more creative ways we can address some of those issues and try and link the two together. My parents are Malaysian Chinese, but I was born in the UK, so I guess that makes me a global citizen. They mainly spoke English to me because they wanted me to have an English accent, which has worked well, but and then they speak a little bit of Hokkien and Malay. But I don't speak those fluently. Yes, I speak French. I speak a little bit of German and a bit of Spanish. I'm trying to learn Japanese at the moment, and slowly getting there. I did it at school. So I studied it for 7 years at school, and then I did it as part of my degree at university. So I did engineering with French. Yeah, I do. So when I go back to Malaysia, I always feel at home and absolutely love the food there, and culturally feel like I fit in there. Yeah, so I do. And I was just in Malaysia in December. So. Hi, everyone thinks I'm Japanese, which gets me into trouble because they start talking to me, and I last for about a minute before they realise that I'm not Japanese, and then I have to say "wakarimasu." That's a very good question. At the moment, I don't have any plans, but some of my options are going to New Zealand to instruct down there. My girlfriend is living in Bangladesh, and I could go and live in Bangladesh for a while. I'd very much like to stay here in Niseko, but it depends if I can get work. Or the last option, which is the least favourite, is probably going home, back to London and trying to find some work there.
True or false? Dan said his favourite kind of lessons were advanced lessons. False. He used to be a consultant. True. He said Heathrow Airport should be smaller. False. His parents are from Japan. False. He studied French at university. True. And that was the Daily English Show. See you tomorrow. Bye.